Hello, I'm Zeke, and welcome to the Zekely podcast. Let's talk Pennsylvania. The guest I have today is a Pennsylvania native, and since 2016 has been serving as a judge of the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas. A recipient of numerous awards and accolades for her civic service, she is now running for election to the Commonwealth Court. Thank you so much for being here, Judge Stella Tsai.
I'm Zeke, a doctor, a Pennsylvanian, and an unapologetic supporter of democratic values. You might have seen me on social media working my ass off for Democrats and meeting some pretty amazing people along the way, like President Barack Obama and Governor Josh Shapiro. For years, I've knocked thousands of doors all over Pennsylvania and poured my heart and soul into supporting candidates and causes that make a difference, from local school board races to national elections. The personal is political, and I take every election in Pennsylvania personally. Where the mainstream media has failed you, I will give you truth and independence. You'll hear from Democratic leaders, candidates, and changemakers who are working to improve the health of the Commonwealth, and it won't be boring as hell. No matter where you are, I'll meet you with hope and a plan to make your community better one day at a time. Welcome to the Zekely podcast. Let's talk Pennsylvania.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Zeke. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. You do such a great service for Democrats and people, Pennsylvanians in general.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited that you're here. You know, I'm collecting judges right now. I don't know if you know this. I want to try and have every judge on my podcast that every eligible Pennsylvanian can vote for this November. And you are one of those judges.
Well, and I am. And I'm very excited to be on the ballot.
Well, we're going to talk all about you, your campaign, and play some games. You ready?
All right. I'm ready. I've listened to your podcast before, so I come prepared.
You come prepared. Excellent. Well, we'll have a great time. You were born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to immigrant parents looking for political and personal freedom in the United States.
That's correct.
So what memories do you have of your parents while they were working to achieve those freedoms?
So my parents worked. My mother was a employee of Wanamaker's, which became Macy's and then doesn't have an existence anymore, unfortunately, in Philadelphia. And I spent a lot of time with her. She was a former English teacher from Taiwan, actually. And I think as I grew up, I sort of listened to her stories about how important it was to be living in the United States, started grasping little by little exactly what she meant by that. And my father was a civil engineer, had the opportunity to come here. And one of the things that we would talk about is my Uncle Tetsu Wu. I've spoken about on the campaign trail. He was my mother's eldest brother and had been incarcerated for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
By the regime of Chiang Kai-shek. And his crime, which I relate to people, was essentially producing plays that were critical of the government.
Okay.
But he actually had received a 15-year sentence initially, but then he got another 3 more because he did not name the names when he was named by somebody else as a person involved in these activities. And he stuck it out for another 3 years, not knowing how long that would be. And it's a very shameful episode of Taiwanese history, which not many people know about. It was called the White Terror. And I visited Taiwan during this time frame. Martial law was not lifted until 1987. And I visited and remember going home with my family members in Taiwan and being told to be quiet, to hush, whatever, because they did not want what we were discussing to be reported to the authorities. And I remember just being taken aback, being an American kid, just picking up all those things about our democracy and really taking them to heart, because I think I had a first as an eyewitness to what it could mean to lose those kind of rights, not privileges, or rights.
Yeah. I mean, what an incredible story for you as a child. I mean, your parents literally came here from an oppressive regime whose own family member was jailed for speaking out against the government.
Yeah.
And now, years later, we're seeing those changes kind of evolving in America. I mean, that must, aside from the fact that it has affected your judicial stances, just as a human being, as an American citizen, from what you know as a child, it must be extremely concerning to you as a citizen.
It is. It's very unsettling.
And I certainly understand how that history with your family would certainly shape the kind of person you are today. And especially not take for granted the freedoms that you have today.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, speaking of freedoms, as a judge on the Commonwealth Court, you will have the power to grant certain liberties across the Commonwealth. So I'm going to list some scenarios for you, and you're going to tell me if you will have the power to influence that outcome or not, okay?
Okay.
All right. So a candidate running for Pennsylvania State Senate would like a recount on the outcome of their election. Would that possibly come across your desk on the Commonwealth Court?
It would, absolutely. Yes, I think it could.
Absolutely. So, I mean, anyone who's talking about recounts happening across the state, that is certainly something that would come across your desk.
Now,
on the
if you're
Commonwealth
going to be
Court.
testing me on jurisdiction, things like that, I actually
That may be the hardest one you have today. Got to keep you on your toes.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, here's the next one.
Yeah.
Someone would like their speeding ticket expunged.
That'd be funny.
They say, Judge Tsai, can you please help me with the speeding ticket? No, you can't do that?
I absolutely would not be able to do that. It's funny because people often think that judges can do anything, and that's one of the things that often comes up. Absolutely not. So
okay, fine.
Sorry
All
about
right.
that.
Sorry, can't help you out with that one.
Sorry,
No problem.
Sorry.
How about someone would like to appeal a decision made by local assessors regarding their property taxes?
I think that would certainly fall into my bailiwick.
I every once in a while get these letters in the mail saying, would you like to reassess your taxes on your house and everything? I guess if eventually that could work its way through the courts, that would maybe land on your desk. All right, well, here's another one. A frequent flyer would like to expedite the renewal of their passport.
That would not be in my jurisdiction.
That wouldn't be in jurisdiction?
No, but good luck with that.
Okay. Well, here's the last one. A homeowner wants to stop their local municipality from using some of their yard space to expand an intersection.
I think that would certainly wend its way up if there was not be able to figure that out.
Yeah, that would wind up to you?
Yeah, that would wind up eventually, assuming that they couldn't reach an agreement.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you obviously can do a lot of really big things. People, they say, local politics affect you locally. And so, certainly you could definitely be touching a lot of people in the judicial space, depending on what they are doing in their own lives, with their houses, with their taxes, all that stuff.
Yeah. The judges have a lot of impact on not just individual, but also statewide. And we have to be very mindful when we make those decisions that we have to be very careful.
As I said before, you have been serving on the Court of Common Pleas for almost the last decade. So why have you decided to run for the Commonwealth Court in Pennsylvania?
That's a great question. I think it's confluence of several factors. I was considering running for Superior Court because I do love the work I'm doing. And that's and I can't assume that I'm going to get that seat, but I had to make a call to pick, as they say, pick the lane.
Okay.
And so it was important to me to consider this particular seat because of the issues that it addresses.
And so when you were deciding to run for Commonwealth Court, did you pick up the phone and say, hey, Brandon, if you do Superior Court, don't do Commonwealth Court? Or did you coordinate with each other?
I think it just kind of evolved this way. We kind of like the fact that we were friends, and we started, as I said, across the state, we started out baby judges to school together. So I've known him for a long time, and it kind of worked out in a way. And he's in the West, I'm in the East. So we can, as Democrats, we can work efficiently and talk about each other. And, I say he's wicked smart, all those kind of things. And I hope he's saying nice things about me. We'll see.
I'm sure he is. That's great.
Yeah.
So you feel passionate about the types of cases on the Commonwealth Court?
I really do.
Yeah, I always like to orient people who watch or listen to the show, the structure of the court system in Pennsylvania, because I'm sure a lot of people don't even know what it looks like. So at the very top, we have the Supreme Court justices.
Would you like me to show you? I have a visual aid here.
Go ahead. I mean, I have one as well on the ZekelyPodcast.com, but I would love you to show yours as well. Oh, I love yours. It looks very similar to mine. Yeah. Okay. So we have, for those who are listening, we have, it's a pyramid. At the top, we have the Supreme Court. Below that, we have the Superior Court and the Commonwealth Court, which is what you, Stella, are running for.
Yep.
Below that, the Court of Common Pleas, which is where you've been serving.
Yes.
And then below that, we have the magisterial courts.
Right. It's a lovely graphic. This was designed by Dan Seisler, excuse me, who's running for Bucks County Sheriff on Democratic.
Yes, I want to have him on the podcast soon as well.
Yeah.
I love how everything's all good people.
It's
many good people are connected to each other.
We
I
are.
love it.
If I may say so.
If elected, you will be one of 9 judges serving on the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. So we're going to play a game called 1 of 9.
Okay.
which is inspired by Minecraft. Okay.
Oh,
Have
boy.
you heard of the game Minecraft?
I have, and I tried to play it, but I was not very successful.
I know my kids play it all the time, and all I hear is 1 of 9, 1 of 9, 1 of 10, 2 of 9. I have no idea what they're building or doing, but you know what?
Yeah.
We're gonna play a game.
Okay, let's give it a shot.
Okay, so 3 rounds. Okay,
All right.
round 1, creative mode. Okay,
Okay.
so what's one mob you'd face as judge, and how would you fight it off? So mob stands for mobile entity in Minecraft. It's like a challenger adversary. So what's
All right.
one mob that you might have as judge?
So you might have angry litigants
Yeah.
as a mob.
Okay.
And I think that one of the things that you try to do is avoid having angry litigants, although it's impossible to change how they feel about something, but you might be able to give them their fair day in court. And sometimes that works to mitigate some of the concern. Trying to use as much creativity as possible, but
Yes.
it does. I do have a story about a individual who has been very upset with the court because, and I can understand where this litigant's coming from, because they felt they were wronged many, many years ago. And maybe it's because I was a fresh face and listening to this first time, but I didn't just toss it out. I actually went through her arguments and said, well, sorry.
Yeah.
This is how I come out. And when she wrote, the litigant appealed the matter, she said, well, Judge Tsai, I have to say this, it's a bit dramatic, but she said, she saved my life. I think it's a bit, she does speak very dramatically, so
Yeah.
I will take it for what it's worth. But she said that, she was grateful that I had actually heard her.
You heard her. You listened.
Yeah. But that just gave me at least some clarity on how you might deal with angry litigants, because
so
it's
you know
more,
exactly how to deal with the mobs.
yes, there
You'll
you
know how
go.
to deal with them. Excellent. Well, you did a great job during round 1, creative mode.
And I'm just excited. I'll have to tell my sons
that you're playing Minecraft,
I play Minecraft
on the Zekely podcast.
Okay, let's see how this one goes. Next one.
All right, so round 2 is survival mode.
Oh,
okay?
boy. All right.
So a colleague makes a questionable ruling. Do you call them out or stay quiet?
Oh, that is such a good question. That is a very, very good question, because I think that we have to decide and let the system take its course and let the litigants in that case pursue that course of action. If the colleague had done something unethical, but I'm assuming you're hypothetical, you just had a decision that I think might not be correct.
Either or, yeah.
Yeah. If unethical, we have an obligation, the Code of Judicial Conduct, to make take appropriate action or report it. I think that a judge's decision, though, is really theirs. I may think it's crazy, but there may be something in the record that I'm not aware of, so it's not for me to get involved.
Got it. Understood. All right. Round 3, the last round, crafting justice. Okay.
Ooh,
so using these 4 ethical ingredients, I need you to craft a judicial philosophy. Okay. So bias, public trust, campaign donors, and case precedent.
Ooh. Okay. So I think I can do this.
I know you can do it.
Okay. So we do have a rule of ethics regarding campaign donations. And it's whether you must be disqualified because a donation is so substantial that it would breach the public trust.
Yeah.
There you go. And there is precedent which informs this decision.
Nice.
So,
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. But I think sometimes there's when you see it kind of thing. I think that somebody giving a substantial contribution to somebody, you need to think about disqualifying yourself in that situation.
That is a great judicial philosophy. Strong work. You survived all 3 rounds of 1 of 9 Minecraft on the Zekely podcast.
I'm so excited because I really can't figure that out, the real Minecraft out.
I know. I never know how to play that game, but my kids eat it up, as I'm sure yours do. You've had a diverse career, from administrative law in Philadelphia to private practice. How have these varied experiences prepared you for your current role and a potential seat on the Commonwealth Court?
Well, I think certainly work I've done in government is directly relevant to what we're doing today. I think that I have to be nimble in what I deal with, and I have to be certain, though, that what I'm doing is appropriate. So I spent a lot of time, I work long hours trying to make sure that I have a complete, or at least a reasonable picture
Mhm.
what what I'm doing.
Your work as a lawyer and in private practice has helped kind of streamline your management, team
Yeah.
building, all which will be necessary on the Commonwealth Court.
And I did join the bench at I say ripe age, but at, a point in my career where I've had a lot of life experience
Mhm.
and dealing with different personalities, different people. And I have a long fuse, as I would say that. And I
Mhm.
think temperament's very important.
That's what I'm picking up on with you, Stella. I think you have a very good temperament
Well,
about you.
thank you.
I do. You don't want a short fuse on the bench.
No.
I don't think anybody wants a short fuse deciding your future,
No.
whatever case is coming in front of you. So I'm
It's
glad
helpful.
that you have that temperament, just getting that experience in private
And-
practice, administrative law, the common pleas court. I
Yeah.
think you're definitely you're gonna have that. Well, do you have a specific type of robe that you wear based on
Oh.
your mood or season?
I have robes based on function.
Function.
I have a robe that it's a fancy robe my mom actually picked up for me when I went to the bench. It happens to be from merry old England at a time of Brexit, so I think it would be probably unaffordable now because it's so old.
Okay.
The value price of the price is just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Well, it's a custom made robe
Oh, wow.
that has hooks.
Okay.
And it's really my colleagues who have seen it. Some of them have asked for my pattern, which I have to say it comes from one of my colleagues who sits on the federal bench. Her name's Wendy Beetlestone. It's the Judge Beetlestone model
The
with my
Judge Beetlestone model?
Wow. Modifications.
Wow.
At the time that I was able to buy it, it was a good time.
Good time. Yes.
It was a good time to get it. But I also, when I'm on Zoom calls, I know public will hear this. I wear I throw on a robe that may have been one of my son's graduation gown. Because it gives us the appearance of, it looks like a robe, and we're
That's hilarious.
we're on Zoom. So, and they're easy to carry. They're easy to transport.
Oh
So,
my gosh. So
I
you have this like vintage robe that really has so much history to it. And then you throw on your kid's graduation robe just for a Zoom meeting.
It works.
That is eclectic and efficient. I love it.
Good.
I love it.
We'll see what the public thinks.
That is hilarious. You've been involved with numerous community organizations, including the Asian Pacific American Bar Association of Pennsylvania and the Women's Law Project.
Yes.
So how has your community involvement shaped your judicial perspective?
I think that it's been very valuable for me to be part of these organizations. There is a number of things these affinity organizations do for you. I'll talk about the Asian Bar first. Just having colleagues who can sort of relate to some of the things that we all deal with, and also interfacing with the community to make sure that the needs are met. And we learn about issues, and there's some things that we're reminded of. I mean, there's a judge named Denny Chin from the Second Circuit who does a great job of taking vignettes or taking stories from our past. For example, the incarceration of Japanese Americans. He puts them into a form that's digestible to people, the trial, and reenactments, and asks really profound questions about who we are as a people. Those are the kind of things, educational things that and then with the work of the Women's Law Project, I mean, there's just so much that, we deal with reproductive rights. Also just making sure that women's cases are taken seriously, like the sex offenses. Women's Law Project really has been so meaningful in protecting and also advocating for the rights of women, and actually rights of all humans.
Yeah.
So it's been an honor to be part of their organization.
Just such great values, great values that you spread and values that you bring to the bench. Well, your moment has arrived, Stella.
Okay.
We're going to play Am I Lying?
Oh boy.
It's my favorite game to play with judicial candidates because you are human lie detectors, okay? Now, so far, not one judicial candidate has gotten them all right.
Okay.
So you may be the first. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay? I don't know. All right.
So here's the first one. I once applied and was accepted to culinary school. Am I lying?
I think you might be lying.
That is true.
Oh my goodness,
I
that's
know.
great.
Before I decided to become a doctor, I actually wanted to be a chef.
Wow.
I applied to Johnson and Wales, and I was actually accepted. But honestly, I have a terrible palate, so it's probably pretty good I didn't become a chef.
Maybe I should have been just not accepted.
I mean, I love
Yeah.
food, but I don't have a very delicate palate. I'll just eat something off a menu and say that tastes good, but I can't split apart the flavors, like I think a chef needs to. So yeah, but I was actually accepted to culinary school. All right.
All right, let's try another one.
It's okay. All right, here's one. I have a patent for a whiteboard eraser.
You have a patent for a whiteboard eraser.
Do I?
I'm going to say you do.
I do. I do actually. Yeah,
least I
you
got
got
one.
it. You got one. Yeah, it's crazy. Back when I was in college, I
Wow.
saw all the professors were writing with whiteboards and then using their hands to wipe off the marker, and their hands would be all covered in dry erase marker.
Yeah.
And so I just thought of, what if you could have like a glove that would protect your hand while you were writing? And so I actually bought some golf gloves and I cut off the first index and thumb finger of the golf glove and I covered the glove in felt. And I actually applied for a patent and everything, but it just got too expensive. Honestly, I couldn't keep up with the payments. And if you Google dry erase glove, it's still there.
It's still there?
It's still there. I was in college, didn't have a lot of money, and it was like
Wow.
thousands of dollars to, keep the patent. And I think I went to like a dry erase company and pitched it, and they
Yeah.
weren't interested. So I
So-
just let it kind of go
So
away.
people just
But
have messy hands. I hope they,
I thought it was a great idea.
I think it's great.
That was
All
a great
right.
idea, but never caught on. So people are
Okay.
still gonna have messy hands writing in their classrooms. All right, here's another one. I have been published in the New England Journal of Medicine and the Lancet for Critical Care Medicine.
I would say yes.
Nah, that's actually false.
Oh,
I know. It's a gotcha on that one. Yeah, I have been published, but not in such prestigious journals such as those. Maybe someday. I have some research I'm thinking about, but no, those are really hard to get into. If you
All
get
right, well-
published in those journals, that's like top tier medicine there.
well, I think you're deserving, and I would like to keep that one open.
Yeah, I mean, there's two types of medicine, right? There's like academic medicine and there's clinical medicine,
Mhm.
and sometimes they can intertwine.
Mhm.
I'd say I'm more of a clinical medicine kind of guy.
Okay.
I once caught the season's largest king salmon while ice fishing in Alaska.
Boy, I wish that were true, but I think it's false.
That's false.
Is it true? That's
That's,
okay.
that's false. I do not go ice fishing. Fishing is not a pastime I enjoy. So you're good on that one. All right, last one. I was once on Oprah.
Oh,
True or false?
I don't think that's true, but probably you were.
What do you think? True or false?
Oh man, I'm gonna say. You know what? I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna say yeah.
I was actually.
Okay,
So Oprah Winfrey was having a special for Kamala Harris, like a town hall, and they did a social media segment. And when I was door knocking last year, some of my clips went viral, and I had no idea this was going to happen, but their team took some of the clips and they aired it on her show with Kamala
Oh, that's
Harris there.
fantastic. Well, there you go.
Got a couple of them.
Got a couple of yeah. Did okay.
Good job.
Did
But
okay.
still not a perfect score yet.
I know.
We'll get there one of these days.
Yeah.
Well, some people say that interpreting the law shouldn't be a partisan issue. But history has shown us time and time again that political ideologies do in fact influence decisions in the judicial system. So you are being endorsed by the Democratic Party.
Yes.
How does being a Democrat influence your interpretations of the law?
That's such a good question, and one that I'm thinking about because I think it's an important issue. I think that being a Democrat is it's my identity. It's who I am. But I don't think being the Democrat is what affects my decisions, but maybe the values and who I am as a person sort of explains how I approach that decision-making process. And
Yes.
we talked, I care about due process. I care about, these are values which I think a lot of people share, but I think that this is who I am as a Democrat too. Right.
Mhm.
And I think that looking out for somebody's interests to make sure that their rights are protected, that they aren't, that against just making sure that everybody's treated appropriately.
It's the values. The
It's the
values.
values.
I think the value system is what you can always lean on
Yeah.
with your political affiliation. It's true that, I don't think that the law should be partisan necessarily,
Yeah.
even though it is a branch of government. I mean, the
Sure.
judicial system is a branch of government and there are politics involved, but the value systems that you bring to the bench are so important because just reading about history, that there were judges who made decisions about slavery, about
Yeah.
segregation. And those ideologies were not right at the time. They're not right now.
Yeah.
But they still existed. And we can't ignore the fact that negative ideologies can influence judicial decisions. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, some of those ideologies are partisan.
And-
So I'm extremely happy that you are endorsed by the Democratic Party, because I know what values you're going to bring to the bench.
Well, thank you for that. I just was saying it came up more recently during World War II with the Japanese. Right? That they are
yes.
prone to be this way, right?
There were Supreme Court justices who ruled that it was constitutional to round up Japanese Americans and put them in internment camps. I mean, that happened. That is a part of American history.
That is part of America. We have to learn from that. And you realize that you just have to make sure that we treat people as people.
Exactly. We have to see the humanity.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any hobbies, Stella?
I do. One is I play the violin.
Oh.
And I did as a kid and had sort of put it aside. And every Friday, I'm not doing it now because, I'm running for office and it's hard to make time for this. At Temple University, there is a pickup orchestra that plays the classics. So that's been a lot of fun. I generally play second violin, 15th chair back, but it's just fun to do. And the other thing I do is I happen to like Legos, to play with Legos.
You can hang out with my kids then, because my kids love Legos too.
So another thing Zeke, across the state, what I do, I've been telling people is that my son Atticus, I have two sons. One is Atticus, one is Emmett. Emmett is an animator. And then there's Atticus, who lives in Denmark for now. And he works for Lego and designs the sets. That's what he does for a living. I've said he's in construction,
He's in construction.
Bricklayer.
He's a bricklayer.
Bricklayer. And actually, another thing that he does do is he works with commercial shoots and will make sure that the Lego sets are appropriate. And they call him a toy doctor. So I said, my son's a plastic surgeon. See, that's my dad joke. So it's cool. What your kids like Legos to play with? Legos?
Yeah. So wait, do you get discounts since your son works
do not.
for Lego? You
don't?
Not.
He does, but I don't.
You do get discounts because he could buy them for you, and then
Yeah, occasionally, yeah.
That's awesome.
It's been great for him. How about you? Are you?
My hobbies? Oh gosh, what are my hobbies? I love to sleep. I have 3 kids. I'm a doctor during the daytime, editing a podcast, trying to spend time with my wife. I don't have a lot of extra time.
Yeah.
This is my hobby, I guess, doing a podcast and trying to inform people about Democratic candidates in Pennsylvania. This is my current hobby.
It's an important one.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for doing that. Because I think this is a way to make these issues you make them entertaining, for one thing. I
try.
But I think you underscore the importance of them. And that's really, really important.
Yeah. We're going to have a Lego date sometime.
Oh, that'd be great. I love that.
Looking ahead.
Yes.
What kind of a legacy do you hope to leave in the Pennsylvania judiciary?
I think it's one of those things where I want to make sure they've made a difference in ensuring that people feel that they've gotten a fair shake in trial. I feel like my decisions are solid and that help resolve things for people. There are very few people of my background.
Would you be the first Asian woman to be on the Commonwealth Court in Pennsylvania?
I would be the first Asian American statewide, occupying a statewide office.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Certainly not Supreme Court, Superior Court, and the Commonwealth Court for sure.
So Commonwealth Court, you would be the first.
First, for sure. And I think that's true for the other courts too. But
I'm a firm believer that representation matters.
Yeah.
And that is a big deal. I did not know that. And that would be wonderful for you.
Yeah. Also the public.
Yeah.
That needs to recognize that they're represented, and also that somebody that like me can be part of this important body.
Yeah. And not just the body, the fabric of America.
Yeah.
If we are going to be the type of country we propose to be, then we need to have all types of Americans a part of it. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So it'll that'll be part of my legacy. But I think the more important thing is just making sure that I did my job well.
Yeah. What gives you hope?
The truth, because I think that it's something that's helped people for years, through many iterations of government. There is a president who in the past had imprisoned journalists and asked for big parades, etc. His name was John Adams. And we survived that.
Yeah.
And it was because of truth. Now, that's really a source of hope for me. Just that the truth will out, and we just have to keep plugging along and be resilient. I had a lucky chance to meet John Lewis.
Wow.
And
I'm jealous.
During the litigation over photo voter ID, and the prospect that there were individuals who were not going to be able to vote, even though they were eligible, because they didn't have the paperwork necessary to get the proper ID, right? And it was devastating to me. And I was able to talk to him about the situation. And he pointed to his head and said, this is my cracked skull. I'm from Selma. Just keep fighting.
Yeah.
And if we keep fighting for the truth, we always will have hope. Yeah. So
it's hard to not have hope.
Yeah.
When you read about the civil rights movement and you meet people like that.
Yeah.
I think MLK, one of my favorite quotes from MLK Jr. is truth ground to dust will rise again.
Yeah.
It's true.
So,
I mean, the truth, you cannot bury the truth forever.
Yeah.
And so we need good people to keep moving the needle forward.
Yeah. So we just keep pushing, right?
Keep pushing. 100%. My last question for you is, what plans do you have to get yourself through these next few years?
The next few years?
Yeah, sure.
So am I assuming anything?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. All right. So I think I need to make sure I get hit by Peloton and actually not just do meditation as to count. It's my, I don't know if you do use Peloton or.
I don't. Like I work out when I can, but I'm not, it hurts my butt. To be honest, it does. I just don't. It's not a comfortable way to work out for me.
Yeah. I do that. I use the apps, so I do a lot of other things too.
Okay.
But just putting that aside, I mean, I think that how I'll get through is just to make sure that I have my family, make sure I take care of them, make sure that I have. It's funny because you can't do any of this work without staff, and just making sure I build the right staff, and that we, of course, I do think maintaining a healthy lifestyle is essential, because I think there's going to be a lot to do, and I have a lot to learn, and I'll take the time I have to do it, but I just have to make sure that I can sleep at night, which is really, that's a metric I have.
Yes.
When I make decisions.
It's good to have a support system. You need it. Stay healthy and surround yourself with good people.
Yeah. And seriously, being able to sleep at night,
yes.
being able not to wrestle. I mean, of course, you're going to wrestle with decisions, but I think that, like, I want to make sure when I do the right thing, I sleep more soundly. And so that's one of the ways I look at how I'm going to approach a decision.
Well, Judge Stella Tsai, running for the Commonwealth Court. I'm super excited for you. I'm just so happy that you're running. I have a very good feeling about this for you, and I know you have a lot of campaigning to do. What can people do to support your campaign?
Well, that's a good question. They can certainly get on my website, for one thing. And
what's your website called? What's the name?
It's stellaforjudge.com,
okay.
www.stellaforjudge.com. That's one way to do it. Also, we're going to be coming to your town anytime soon. And Judge Newman and I and the justices are coordinating our campaign. So be sure to join us, help us out, spread the word. We'll certainly have a lot of literature to disseminate, but I think the important thing is just to talk about these things to your family, friends, neighbors, and this is it's the general. So we'll take all voters wherever they come from.
It's important to know that every single eligible voter in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will be able to vote for you this November 4th.
Yeah,
and absolutely. We need to have good, empathetic judges sitting on the bench at all levels of the judiciary in Pennsylvania, and I can't wait to see you sworn in on the Commonwealth
Thank you
Court.
so much, Zeke. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, getting to know you, and we'll have to arrange for Lego outing.
Yes, Lego time after the election.
That sounds
Absolutely.
great.
Well, thank you so much for joining me here on the Zekely podcast. Stay hopeful and get involved. And until next time, let's keep building a stronger Pennsylvania together.